Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Tonight on Our News, will the Bahamas government seek an extension of the emergency order? The Attorney General and Leader of the Opposition weigh in. The Health Minister responding after dozens of COVID-19 cases slipped through the cracks. Plus, a party promoter fined nearly $100,000 for a packed fete. And a little later, how the Regency Theatre on Grand Bahama is working to get players back on stage. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the current state of emergency introduced by the Minnis administration to curb the spread of COVID-19 is set to expire next month. With time winding down, Attorney General Carl Bethel says no decision has been made on whether another state of emergency will be declared. Jasmine Brown reports.
It was crystal clear that not even the Attorney General was sure about the Minnis administration's next steps once that state of emergency expires in less than a month.
The government has not as yet made a judgment as to what course of action will be taken.
Bethel telling reporters that the government has not yet determined whether a new state of emergency will be declared in the Bahamas or if it will introduce a bill to replace the emergency order. Bethel also making it clear that some restrictions are still necessary as an emergency continues to exist in the Bahamas.
When the Bahamas reaches the stage where we've reached what could be termed herd immunity, then we could consider that for the Bahamas, the emergency is basically over. So between now and then, there will be some legal framework, whether it's a declaration of emergency or under a statutory framework. But in any event, rules will have to be mandated.
The declaration of a new state of emergency would give the competent authority the ability to have up to another 6 months of emergency powers. The current state of emergency is set to expire on May 23rd. In February, Bethel said his office was nearly finished drafting a bill that would replace the emergency order. When asked for an update outside cabinet, he told reporters that the government has not yet made a judgment on which course of action it would take.
What we do know is that the emergency continues. And so the government will, in very short order, have to make a determination as to which is the best way forward.
Healthcare professionals say the country is now in its third wave of COVID-19. Nearly 200 cases were reported by health authorities on the weekend alone, and the death toll is also climbing.
Until we reach a stage where there's sufficient vaccinations, and in the Bahamas, we are using every available means to secure enough vaccines for those who wish to take it.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, that uncertainty isn't cutting it for opposition leader Philip Davis. Bethany McDermott has that.
They should have known by now. I mean, what was the purpose? It clearly demonstrates what we've been saying about them all along. They are reactive.
That's the position of Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis as the state of emergency is set to expire on May 23rd. According to Davis, it's becoming increasingly clear that the state of emergency is passed, adding that it's a prolonged suspension of civil liberties.
There's no need to extend the state of emergency. There was no need several months ago to do so, and there's no need to do so now. Even so, now.
Davis reasons that the necessary measures to curb the spread of COVID-19 could be accomplished by local legislation, adding that the tools necessary are already in place.
They could go under the Health Services Act and or the Quarantine Act and develop rules and regulations that sets out the measures that they deem necessary for the purposes of the fight that they have.
Now, while he says he's of the view that a state of emergency is no longer needed, Davis admitted that some measures are still needed and will continue to be necessary until the fight against COVID-19 is over.
Measures are required until the fight is over. The fight is not over, and the fight will be forced, in my view, for quite some time yet.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Well, Health Minister Renward Wells responding to the recent revelation that nearly 90 COVID-19 cases were not previously reported. Wells telling reporters today that sometimes things fall through the cracks. However, he insists that never should have happened.
We are looking at all of that. In the fog of war, sometimes some things fall through the cracks. And the things that fall through the cracks can cause problems. We're not making excuses. In the ministry, those things should have been reported. But back in September and October, during the height of the second wave, lots of cases were taking place. Folks were being tested.
Of the 115 cases reported by the Ministry of Health on Saturday, 29 were newly confirmed cases and 86 were listed as cases not previously reported. Regarding the 86 cases, the ministry said due to continuous data cleansing of the COVID-19 database and collaborations with reporting laboratories, 86 additional confirmed COVID-19 cases were added to the total number of cases, 32 cases on New Providence and 54 cases on Grand Bahama.
COVID exposed a lot of our defects and defaults, not just in the Ministry of Health, but in the entire Bahamian society. It showed how further out of step we were with just deploying digital platforms.
Well, $92,000 was the fine for a party promoter who hosted an overcrowded bashment on Sunday evening. Jared Higgs has more details.
A $92,000 fine handed out to a party promoter is being called harsh by some. The fine comes after a huge party was held on Bahama Barrel's property across from Greycliff on Sunday. The emergency order prohibits social gatherings on New Providence, with organizers subject to a $2,000 fine and $300 for each person in attendance. Police Commissioner Paul Roll says 300 people were in attendance.
$2,000 is a little too much, a little overboard. They could go 50% down. I could say 80%.
The owners of Greycliff, who also own Bahama Barrels, told Our News that the property is leased to Julian Thompson, also known as Julian Believe, and that inquiries would need to be directed to him. Thompson has remained tight-lipped and wouldn't talk to Our News today, despite inviting us to an interview. Yesterday, he would only tell the Nassau Guardian the big Sunday party was not his event, but he would not go any further.
I do think the fine was excessive. I think it was a bit much, especially for the times that we're in. I know it's just like a notice to everyone else who's trying to throw parties. Saying that no one had on masks, but I think it was a lot. $92,000 is a bit over the top.
The story also elicited shock responses on social media. One user wrote, "Better go start cleaning chicken for a Souse fundraiser." Another wrote, "I would simply go to jail."
I guess because everybody was warned already, so I think I kind of in between, because I sure he was aware, so.
What can you do with $92,000?
We could go towards the treasury.
Police haven't said who the promoter was who was fined. They say they expect the matter to end up in court. Commissioner Roll warned members of the public to abide by COVID protocols. But entertainment company owner Jerome Smith says sometimes officials don't set the best example.
If the powers that be actually apply those same measurements to themselves, because I'm sure all of us can think of some situations where the powers that be are having some of these same events, maybe not as popular, but yeah, you don't hear about them getting fined.
Reporting for Our News, I am Jared Higgs.
A warning has been issued advising consumers against eating fresh conch at this time, as a number of suspected conch poisoning cases have been reported. The Bahamas Agricultural, Health and Food Safety Authority's Food Safety and Quality Unit today issuing a statement noting that people should avoid eating conch that they suspect was not properly handled and or prepared until the source of the contamination can be determined. Conch poisoning is typically caused by a bacterium. Conch poisoning can occur between 4 and 96 hours after eating the suspected food. Symptoms include watery diarrhea, abdominal cramps, nausea, vomiting, fever, headache, and bloody diarrhea, and can last 1 to 7 days. Seek medical attention if you experience any of those symptoms. Well, partly sunny and breezy skies in the capital today. Greg Thompson has the latest over in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Christina, and a happy Tuesday evening, everybody. A breezy and warm evening setting up on the outside of our studios. Temperatures are in the mid-70s. 76 is our current temperature outside our studios. Breezes out of the east-northeast at 12 knots, and your feels-like temperature, a very warm 76 degrees on the temperature scale. Satellite view around the region, we have that frontal boundary that is pushed toward the east and away from us. High pressure in the Atlantic. It's dominating our weather with those stiff northeasterly breeze, bringing in some patchy clouds across the area, but shower activity is practically nil. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, uncertainty over whether the Bahamas will get vaccine donations from the U.S. and a walk down 8 Mile Rock with a new political candidate. That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
It's still unclear if the Bahamas will receive COVID-19 vaccines from the United States. That's according to Minister of Health Renward Wells, who says he's not sure whether the Bahamas could be receiving any donation of vaccines from the U.S.
I'm not sure whether the Bahamas would be a part of the countries that receive the donation, but I don't see any reason as to why we would not be. I have long said that the Bahamas is one of 5 countries that sits on the borders of the United States. The U.S. had already given AstraZeneca vaccines to Mexico and Canada. The only other 3 countries that sits on its border is Cuba, Russia, and the Bahamas.
Well, the Biden administration is preparing to send up to 60 million AstraZeneca doses to countries in need over the next several months once a federal safety review is conducted. The company has produced about 10 million doses of the vaccine for the U.S., but the FDA has not yet authorized their use. With 53,600 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine in the Bahamas to date, the rollout of the vaccine has quickly ramped up to include more people. The decision to open up appointments to everyone over 18 has raised questions about low demand for the vaccine in the Bahamas, but Wells maintained that demand has been strong.
We're vaccinating our people. A number of our folks would have been exposed to COVID. We've had massive interest, if I could use that word, in folks, in Bahamians wanting to be vaccinated, really.
Wells also says he still does not believe more restrictions are necessary to bring the spread of COVID-19 under control in the Bahamas. His comments come only days after police shut down a New Providence party that was attended by hundreds of maskless people. Well, tonight our news takes you to West End, Grand Bahama, where a young educator and father is looking to impact lives as he runs for office. Kyle Joaquin has his story in tonight's Meet the Candidate.
Born and raised right here in 8 Mile Rock, Jonestown. We actually used to swim down there, right there. And then this,
water like that?
Yeah, come on, man.
Meet Mario Mott, a 30-year-old educator and father. He's a born and raised son of West Grand Bahama soil.
Right here, we call this Ladies Rock. We used to swim for, I talk in the summer. Your parents can't find you.
As we sit and speak with Mott, he shares his love for working with young people, spending years as a physical education teacher, coach, and mentor. Mott says he made the decision to jump into frontline politics because of what he calls a lack of opportunity.
I'm saying by seeing former athletes just roaming the streets with nothing to do, you know, and it's a crying shame for me. So I said, Mario, if you want to see change, you have to become the change you want to see.
And so Mott will serve as the DNA's candidate in West Grand Bahama and Bimini, his hometown.
Some of the things I see, they're simple fix here, especially in West Grand Bahama and Bimini. Bimini, they're not asking for much. They're just like us in Grand Bahama. They're resilient, you know what I mean? They're independent. They just want the opportunity to continue with their drive.
He walked us through an area of stalls set up near the water, which he says was once bustling with activity. He says it's a sign of what the community has endured for years.
You can find conch, fritters, conch salad, fish, any time of day. This business is only open really on Thursday night. The vendors are crying. And this is foolishness, and we're not going to allow it anymore. So that's why I'm going to stand now, and I'm going to make the change that I want to see.
At the end of the day, Mott says he wants to be an example of leadership for many young people of his area, just like others were for him.
If there were one building in West Grand Bahama that kids can go after school and get help with the homework or learn an extra sport or even play an instrument or even just hang, we would have done well.
With this edition of Meet the Candidate for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, air traffic controllers demanding safety standards on the job. Plus, Shanae Miller-Weibo sets a new record. The details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Air traffic controllers walking off the job Monday, citing COVID-19 safety concerns. President of the Bahamas Air Traffic Controllers Union, Hinsey McKenzie, says the safety of his members comes first.
For the last year and a half, we were using the extended one-off to screen us to go through. So today they decided to change it and put the short one where they'll be within less than COVID protocols, which is 6 feet. We've asked them to put this in their manual, but they refuse. It seems like it's an issue. Every time TSA comes to do their audit, they want us to now give in to them, which our safety concern come first. We are not going to bow to those wishes of the airport authority.
More than 10 air traffic controllers who were set to report for the 2 p.m. shift walked off the job yesterday, saying they refuse to return until their concerns are addressed.
I spoke with the minister. He is not concerned about our health concerns. He only concerned about give in to them, and then they will, it's only for a couple of days, they'll TSA go. We're not in for that. We're in for fixing it once and for all. Either they put in a machine we can walk through, or some other measure, change the road to the other side where it's supposed to go, because we are in the landing area of plane landing, which is, we don't have no insurance for our vehicle when we drive around that access road.
Attempts to reach Aviation Minister Dionisio de Aguilar were unsuccessful. Up to news time. And after decades of entertaining people from around the world, the Regency Theater on Grand Bahama remains in a state of disrepair. Tonight, Kyle Joaquin takes a look at the world-renowned theater left damaged by Hurricane Dorian and how the community is coming together to fix it.
We would have had volunteers and members alike come in and actually lift and remove all of the wood that would have been broken or would have fallen into these trenches.
The state of the stage alone is a telltale sign of lingering damage in the Regency Theater in Grand Bahama. Once a shining jewel of the island.
In the bank, large amounts. I'm afraid these don't grow on trees.
The Regency now struggles to come back more than a year after Hurricane Dorian wreaked havoc.
The water line of where the water would have sat in this building for 3 or 4 days.
This is after Dorian.
After Dorian. Our teams were not able to get in here as soon as we would have liked to. So this water just kind of sat here and marinated. All of our electrical equipment would have been on the floors here.
The Freeport Players Guild and members of the community sprung into action, cleaning up debris and whatever they could. The once plush red carpets were stripped away to reveal concrete and wood.
The stage structure has been in here from its inception, so now we're literally tasked with having to deal with all of this, and this is a big job.
Yeah.
So
it's an expensive job as well.
Very much expensive. This is the last piece that we're pretty much waiting on before we can get work to getting in here up where it needs to go.
Well, what do we say to her? We say nothing. We say absolutely nothing, as if we never heard a word.
On the wall and floor, posters of all the shows that graced the stage.
Yep, since Dorian, this has become completely halt, so 2019 to 2021 will not have anything there, which is strange, and it's a bit bittersweet. But of course, there's nothing we can do.
But they're now trying to move forward, planning to stage small shows in the lobby under COVID restrictions. Freeport Players Guild is now calling on lovers of the arts to join in and donate in the hope of getting the Regency Theatre back to where it was or better.
And as a guild, as the Freeport Players Guild, we are celebrating 60 years of being volunteers. We're not paid for this type of work. It's because what we love, what we do. And like I said, we want to give the Bohemians a chance, as well as the youth, to see that, you know, theater is alive and well and the arts is not dead. So.
Jesus Christ Superstar. We've come a very long way, and we really are very, very professional, but it's thanks to the work of many, many people.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, trouble brewing in local soccer, and Shanae Miller-Weibo sets a new world record leading time in the 400 meters. Marcellus Hall tells us more.
Thanks as always, Christina. Welcome to our sports on a Tuesday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. The Bahamas men's national soccer team in the midst of qualifying for the World Cup. It hasn't gone so well as of late. They've lost both of their opening matches. However, that is not the story today. The story is that the Bahamas Football Association, which is the governing body for sports, soccer that is, has apparently got some issues going on. Let's take a look at some more. All is apparently not well within the ranks of the Bahamas Football Association, the governing body for soccer here in the Bahamas. According to reports, there is extreme unrest within the executive body. This comes in the midst of our men's national soccer team playing qualifying matches for the World Cup. Technical director Mark Burcham has resigned his post, leaving the position vacant. Add to that stories that newly appointed director of women's football, Carmelina Moscato, seemingly ready to step down as well. And beach soccer head coach Luis Escobar set to be resigning at the end of May. It all says things are definitely not well. We'll continue to follow this story as it develops further. From track and field, with the Summer Olympic Games in Tokyo still moving forward, Bohemian track star Shanae Miller-Weibo continues to serve notice that she will be a force to be reckoned with. Defending Olympic champion in the 400 meters, setting a new world leading time of 49.09 seconds in her 2021 season opener this past weekend. This came at the U.S. ATF Grand Prix in Eugene, Oregon. The time was a new meet record, bettering the previous record of 49.29 seconds held by American Sandra Richards-Ross. American Lena Irby was second in that race in 50.21 seconds. Jessica Beard third in 50.38 seconds. And there it is, our check on sports for you this Tuesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Marcellus. Breezy conditions today, but will the winds change? Plus, are you prepared in case of a disaster? The Red Cross has a few tips when our news returns.
Welcome to our news, and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. There may be more breezy conditions ahead. Greg has the details in the Weather Center.
Thanks. Thanks again, Christina, and welcome back to our second look at weather. Taking a look at our satellite view around the region, that front boundary that moves through the islands is well to the south now across Hispaniola, with some isolated showers just east of the Bahamas. High pressure is dominating our weather, centered just off the eastern seaboard. That high will actually move out towards the east. That will turn our winds more towards the east and southeast over the next couple of days, and that will allow our temperatures to warm back up before we see another frontal boundary get in here sometime on Sunday. Your boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. We have a caution flag posted for you boaters, and we're asking you beach goers to exercise some caution out there as well for some recurrent easterly winds, 15 to 20 knot seas running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 9:03 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, the Bahamas Red Cross partnering with the organizers of the Chick Charney Challenge for a fun event to help people prepare for a disaster. Participants will run, jump, climb, and crawl their way through the obstacle course in teams of 5 this Saturday while they learn a few tips that could save a life.
It's an effort to keep persons on point, abreast, and ready for disasters. Preparedness helps with anxiety and eliminates fears at the same time too. So this is a fun way we wanted to do.
Of course, Chick Charney stands for obstacles. That's what we do. And we put together a fun course, 10 obstacles, 10 scenarios that people are going to have to go through in a certain amount of time.
Registration is available at the Bahamas Red Cross. The event is free, but a donation is asked to aid in the work of the Red Cross.
Disaster Preparedness Month is essentially ensuring that both the Bahamas Red Cross and the Bahamas at large becomes well prepared for any disasters, including hurricanes, epidemics such as what we're in now with COVID-19. And so on the Bahamas Red Cross's front, we have a program called Preparedness for Effective Response that ensures that our staff and volunteers are well trained.
The event begins at 8 a.m. this Saturday. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas. A new episode of Broke Bosses starts right now.